Hello. Now I've got to stop looking at the microphone. Hello. Good afternoon. It's May the 22nd, 2020. Ah, 1:05 in the afternoon. It has been a struggle since last time I spoke to you. My health is rapidly going downhill, mentally and physically. I've got 3 bags of rubbish and flies in the kitchen. Caspi is loving it. He's chasing the flies like he's in seventh heaven. Caspi. Um, I had the police round on what I call suicide watch last night because Rebecca Morehouse, bless, contacted them worried about my health, and I pointed out to them it's more my physical health than my mental health I was concerned about because of the rubbish building up in the kitchen. I also happened to mention I blurted everything out to the police. You know, I've got no one else to talk to, so talk to anyone that comes to the door. I even miss the Christians coming round every 3 months and debating the Bible with me. I enjoy a nice little debate over the Bible, especially when the Christians never answer the questions you put to them. But coffee, yes, it's going to be a long one, I think, today. Um, yeah, the police came round. I told them about what's been going on with Waltham Forest Council, how they've imprisoned me for 12 weeks, how I'm afraid to go to the door, etc., etc., etc. They were very professional, very nice. I was so apologetic to them being involved again. I explained to them last night that I'm fed up of mental health and the police clearing up after the mess that the council have made. I just want the council, Waltham Forest, to clear their own mess up. And I feel no one actually believes me. I've got plenty of people understanding, and I've got plenty of people emailing me saying other people, senior officers. I've got Duncan this morning on the phone, Duncan Angus. Bless, I feel sorry for his team because they've been lumbered with it. They had no choice, they just got complaints to tell them they're liaising. Not fair. Shouldn't be independent living, liaising. That basically is an insult to me because basically the chief exec and housing see me as a mental health case, and I can only assume by their inference that everything is fine and dandy with housing. Possibly because all the people above housing are looking at the complaints. And if housing aren't logging all their complaints, or they're only logging complaints they can immediately resolve because it makes them look good, who's checking that they're logging all complaints? Anyone? No one? I've tried raising it up to the chief exec, Martin Eason. I've emailed him directly this morning, and Karen, because Karen has been. I have wasted so much of Karen's time. She's not even my counsellor. Bless. Her and Duncan have been keeping me on track during all these 12 weeks. And even Karen, I believe, is getting lied to. She's asking for things to get done and she's getting promised things will get done, but nothing's actually getting done. And for a government that relies on trust, otherwise nothing gets done. For a government that relies on trust, and that's what the civil and public service relies on, it only works if you have people you can trust. If people realise they're not being oversighted or checked up in layman's terms, then people will do what they can get away with. And if that means infringement of GDPR regulations, I know that R means regulations, but you know what it means. It's a bit like saying PIN number. It's just a PIN and everyone calls it a number, but it is actually number. not only is there a breach of data protection and GDPR, because my confidential information has been disclosed to the residents, either knowingly or unwittingly by housing, I have various issues around one of my councillors having a private Facebook account with one of my antagonists as a personal friend. Tony Bell, I'll mention you by name. You know who you are. But not only does one of the tenants have close connections to people inside the council, is, I believe, getting information from the council. I've sent an email to Duncan this morning. He called me and had a chat with me for half an hour or so. And I sent him an email this morning, basically forwarding the email that I sent mine and just highlighting a few points that are the bare bones of the issue. And it all comes down mainly to poor customer service in housing, lack of respect for the disabled by housing, and a lack of respect for the disabled by Waltham Forest Council, particularly regarding their phone system that uses private numbers. People with anxiety do not pick up private calls. To us, it is the same as someone wearing a mask knocking on your front door. You would ask them to take the mask off before you open the door. So I'm asking them to disclose their number before I answer the call. It's the same thing. Banks, before lockdown, used to ask motorcycle couriers to take their helmets off. I'm just asking for all public bodies to disclose their number. It isn't a big ask. It's an obligation under the Equalities Act 2010, under the disablement section. People with anxiety do not generally answer phone calls unless they've got a record of who's calling. Like I say, a private number to people like me is the same as coming to the door wearing a mask. In fact, it's worse than that. It's the same as coming to the door in a box that only you inside the box can see out of. Would you open the door to someone you couldn't see? Neither would I. Ah, bless. So far this morning, I've sent a couple of emails off. Basically, one to Karen because she asked about, and I was half awake at the time. I'd only been awake about 10 minutes and I read Karen's email. And she queried about who said you weren't going to get your rubbish picked up until next week, which was something that Mary had emailed her. And I spoke to Mary and I replied back to Karen. And I had to point out to her that it's Friday now. I was promised 2 days ago that the rubbish was going to be picked up, and it hasn't. We have a bank holiday Monday. Here we are, back again. 1:30 on the 22nd of May. While I was making my diary entry, I had a call from a mobile number. I panicked and pressed the wrong button, like I often do, and disconnected the call. I then tried calling back and whoever it was wouldn't pick my call up. And I've sent a text message saying I panicked and pressed the wrong button. But often what happens with the council is, if it is the council, often what I found happens with the council is if I hang up or if they go through to voicemail and they don't leave a voicemail, I've turned voicemail off anyway because it seems pointless now. They was using voicemail as an excuse not to disclose their number, so I've turned that off. But what normally happens with the council, I found out, is if they can't get through, they mark it up as we've called Mr. Gibbons and he hung up on us. Not we called from a private number. and he refused to take the call. And I didn't refuse to take the call, I just panicked because I'm not used to people calling. Especially when I'm not expecting them to call. Most people normally tell me I'm going to give you a call. Because I've got anxiety. Do I need to keep telling people this? Anyway. Caspy's going mad because there's flies around the kitchen because I've got bags of cat litter, used cat litter in the kitchen. I've tried to put them in the hallway, but they get in the way, so they have to go in the kitchen. No other place for them. I'm not putting them in the bedroom, and they're definitely not coming in the living room. Because it's stinking in there now. Double bagged as well. It's stinking. I don't measure my blood pressure. I know it's going up to the roof. Just by the frustration. Bless her, Karen. I'm sorry, Karen. I know you've done blinding. And I've just emailed her because she's getting inundated with people emailing her. And I would rather have my own counsellors explain why they've not taken any action, any relevant action. I told one counsellor 11 weeks ago to piss off and read the email before you respond. That possibly could be a reason why she's not responding. But at the end of the day, I would have expected her to apologise for not reading the email first. She's supposed to be professional and a counsellor. Whereas Tony Bell, multiple assurances he will call me from Karen, and multiple times he hasn't. Or maybe he's infringing my rights under the Equalities Act 2010 as well. Or maybe it's just because he's too close to one of my neighbours, i.e. he's friends with him on Facebook. Private Facebook account, I'll have you know. Which seems a bit dubious to say the least, Mr. Bell. I've already told you about the police coming around last night. I've had a call from mental health this morning and I've explained to them what's going on, and I simply apologising to everyone because it is a council issue at the end of the day, but mental health are trying to help, Duncan's trying to help, the police are trying to help, but they can only do reports to the council. It's the council at the end of the day that need to do what they're supposed to do. I'm not asking them for anything they're not supposed to be doing. And yet, stonewalled every time. I've written directly to Martin Eason. So has my MP. I believe so has Karen Bellamy, the councillor that isn't in my ward but has been good as gold for the last 12 weeks. I am so sorry she's involved. She shouldn't be. She's only involved because she was, or still is, a member of the crime awareness thing on Facebook for this area. And I put a plea in there for someone to help me, and she contacted me via that. Because after I made the same plea to the director and CEO of Waltham Forest Council and got ignored, and to me I see being ignored as not correctly responding, appropriate to the communication that I sent, that's being ignored. Might not be the legal definition or the dictionary definition, but it's my definition. And quite frankly, if I ask for help, don't ask for help very often, only when it's essential. I don't try and get people involved. I try and leave people out of it because I want a quiet life. I don't want to have to explain myself to all and sundry. I've got a funny feeling this is going to be in 3 parts because I can hear people outside my front door, and I'm expecting a return call from someone eventually. So I might just end this because I'm getting a bit of a panic mode again because of the noise I can hear outside. And there it goes again. and I'll try and finish this off late this afternoon. I'm sorry for doing this in 2 or 3 parts, but I'll try and finish it off later. Thank you. Bye. Well, here we are again. It's pie o'clock on the 22nd of May 2020 still. That phone call that I missed because I was doing my diary and I panicked about what button to press never returned the call, and I left a text message saying I panicked and pressed the wrong button. I don't know who it was, a mobile number, but at least it was a mobile number, because I'm not even panicking about who it was as much as I would have if it was a private number. At least eventually I can track that number back to someone. But just a moment ago I just had an idea and I called the Health and Safety Executive, but they only deal with workplace measures. So anything to do with council I have to complain to the council about. I think I've done that. So I don't know. Maybe it's alright to mistreat people worse than you would treat animals. I don't know anymore. I've done nothing wrong and I'm imprisoned by Waltham Forest Council. And yet, those that break the law are breaking the law even to this moment. And they're allowed freedom of movement. The world is fucking upside down. It's like good people were locked in and all the prisoners are released. Oh well, looks like I'm going to have a crap weekend that's going to be full of flies and smelly rubbish. I've lost my will to live, my appetite. I'm losing my sanity. I just want my freedom back. Until you haven't got it, you don't realise how lucky you are. I know these people so well. As long as they can just tick the box saying, we called Mr. Gibbons but he hung up. They don't care why I hung up. They just want to tick the box to pass it on to their superior to say, we've contacted Mr. Gibbons and he refused to take the call. And it was a mobile number. Not worrying about good customer service and maybe I'll call him back in 5 minutes. No. No one's worried enough to actually knock on the door, only the police. Police can manage to come round and make sure I'm alright. No one else can. Mary will, but I won't have Mary come down here. She's not well anyway. And it's not Mary's problem or the police's problem or even mental health's problem. And yet, when it gets to the council, they have ultimate superior powers. No one oversights the council. The internal structures of the council that are supposed to be there for scrutiny and for safety purposes are not being implemented. If complaints aren't processed correctly and the ombudsman's shut, who can you turn to? If complaints aren't being processed correctly and the ombudsman's not shut and they find in your favour and the council ignores what the ombudsman says, who can you turn to? Because the ombudsman has no power of enforcement. None of the ombudsman, as far as I remember, have. They're just guidance. They're arbitrators, basically. So I'm stuck with at least 3 bags, it'll be 4 in a moment, of used cat litter until at least Tuesday. It's Friday now. Bank holiday Monday, remember? So by then I'll have 5 bags of rubbish in the kitchen. Who says it's going to be next week? Well, no one's contacted me to have them removed or to make any plans. And seeing as it's Friday before Bank Holiday Monday and I've worked in various councils, everyone will be knocking off in about, well, between 10 minutes and 40 minutes. About 3:30 to 4 o'clock they start knocking off on a Bank Holiday Friday. Just no one will help. No communication from anyone in 12 weeks. Surely that's not supposed to happen. All because Martin Easton wouldn't have a meeting with me. What are you afraid of, Martin? Why won't you have a meeting with one of your residents? You wouldn't even give an excuse. If I was chief exec of some building firm, you'd have a meeting with me then, wouldn't you? Yeah. But because I'm just a resident, you treat me as a complaint? That's so disrespectful. I don't even know what's going to happen with me from day to day now, or moment to moment. My nerves are on a knife edge. My sanity is questionable. My head is spinning with all these things going on. And all I have to look forward to is a visit on Sunday from the COVID-19 group to give me a bag of stuff that I don't really need or don't really want. I've got cup of soups galore in there, thanks to Mary. So I'm not going to go hungry, I'll just make a cup of soup. I've got a freezer full of potatoes and carrots. But like I keep saying to people, it's alright having the food, it's having the motivation to actually do anything with it. And just for the last few weeks, I've not been motivated to do very much cooking. Nice day out there as well. But hey, I'll just sit here and cry all weekend. Again. Because I'm ignored. And people just want to box tick to get me out of their way. Well, I suppose unless something happens in the next 40 minutes, this will probably be my last update for the day. If it is, thank you for watching. If it isn't, there'll probably just be a jump cut. Let's hope someone learns from all this, because all councils seem to want to do is push people around and take money off them. They've forgotten the principles of public service. Some people in the councils haven't forgotten what the public service is, but overall they just want to take money and sit on their arse and do as little as they can get away with. And it's not fair that people like me have to go through hell just to get decent service. I wouldn't mind if they emailed back with an excuse, we ain't got the staff or we ain't got the money, but no response at all. I mean, we ain't got the staff or we ain't got the money isn't acceptable. There's certain legal obligations they have to carry out. Making the place safe is one of them. And looking after your residents or tenants. As a social landlord, they're supposed to be looking after people like me. I wonder how you get social landlord status removed from the council, where they're just a landlord and not very social. Maybe no one's ever thought about that one before. Oh, careful. Caspy spotted one of the flies from the kitchen. There's going to be a few of those over the weekend. That's why I need the tripod. Caspy's just run under it and he hasn't wobbled one bit. Right, okay, that'll be the end of this day, unless I get a major update. Thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you soon.